More PS5 info, Summer Gaming Fest, and how will companies handle loot boxes in the future? All that and more coming right up. Welcome back to Sodi Pop on YouTube. Today is Monday, June 15th. My name is Matty, and this is Chatty with Matty, your source for daily gaming news. I have a big story at the end, so make sure to stay tuned. I'm sure no one else is covering some amazing stuff coming right up. I have my drink. Let's chat. We have Persona 4 Golden coming to PC via Steam. Of course, Atlas did hint at this. This was widely rumored on the own Steam database, and well, you have it. For $19.99, you can get all that Persona 4 goodness coming from the PlayStation Vita, formerly a Vita exclusive, and then the original was on the PlayStation 2. So go ahead and check that out. Really great value. It actually became one of the best or most played RPGs on Steam, except for MMOs. In other news, Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch is coming out with its first big expansion called Isle of Armor on the 17th, so just a couple of days here. If you want, you actually have time to get a few pre-order bonuses. So I've already pre-ordered mine, so I have gotten the Isle of Armor expansion, both the Eevee and the Pikachu uniform, and then Leon's cap and tights as well. So just little cosmetic upgrades, nothing too crazy. And then you can also get a free steelbook when you purchase Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass bundle in the physical edition. So go ahead and check that out if you are interested. Really cool stuff there, of course. Also, EA announced today Star Wars Squadrons. This was kind of teased, but we didn't get to see any gameplay, unfortunately, but just a nice little teaser here going further into the Squadrons. Of course, this will be a flight battle game. They also revealed later that it's cross-platform support with multiplayer supported between players on Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Squadrons will also be playable in VR headsets on PC and PS4 for players with more immersion. Also, the game will feature a new single-player campaign set after the Battle of Endor. Further down, they also talk about how loot boxes will be handled, and there's cosmetics and customizations for cockpit, ship, pilot appearance, and company of promises that everything will be earned solely through gameplay. We have heard those promises before, so I'll believe it when I see it, but hopefully they will remain true to that. And then all the way at the bottom here, if you've noticed the omission of PS5 and Series X, well, so did I. Set for release on current gen systems and PC for $40, so great price. EA has yet to announce whether it will be offering next-gen version of Squadrons for upcoming PS5 and Series X this fall. So hopefully we'll see that coming soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see it either in a Series X or a PS5 presentation. To see some gameplay there too. PS5. So we talked a lot about how the PS5 is going to be cooled. Of course, there was the WIPO or the document showing that the dev kit cooling had 6 fans surrounding it, this big V cutout. Of course, the final design looks nothing like that. And we see here from VGC, Video Game Chronicles, PS5 cooling, great effort has gone into reducing fan noise, claims exec. Sony has previously suggested PS5 features a high-performance cooling solution. So a little bit more in depth into that. I mean, if you have a PS4, especially PS4 Pro, you can notice that the fans can boot up and get quite loud at some points. If you have headphones, maybe you're not quite bothered by that. But we have looked further into the cooling solution. So here is a actual poster on Reddit. I thought it was pretty cool. In Unannounced 5, why the PS5 dev kit uses cooling. Kind of a cool write-up here. He goes further into why the PS5 dev kit is shaped the way it is with the V cutout. Is because they actually stack the boxes, he says, when they're testing games. So the airflow needs to be completely different. Now with this PlayStation 5, of course, the box you saw is huge, but these are some more patents that Sony has for the actual cooling. So this is actually a copper pipes you'll see in the middle here. These copper pipes right here will be in between the board and the PS5, according to this gentleman or woman, is going to use this cooling solution that has it on 2 sides. So it'll actually be like dual cooled on both sides, and these copper pipes will take the heat away from the actual points of the board, going between the normal cutout of the motherboard, which would not be possible on the PC since those areas would be used for vital components on PCs. Here's just another showing a side view of it, of the actual components. Seems like a pretty cool novel cooling solution. We have heard before that yes, there's going to be a novel cooling solution. Everyone's kind of curious on how it's going to be, since they are running at constant speed and they're not throttling based on temperature. So it sounds really, really interesting. Just kind of a cool look at the possible future of how they actually are cooling it. Of course, we'll get a full teardown. Mark Cerny did tease a full teardown later as well. And then of course, please like, follow, subscribe, comment down below. If you guys are watching this and enjoying it, you know, share it on your Twitter, share it on your Instagram. Definitely helps me out, get a few more subscribers and a few more people actually getting to get this information, because we have some amazing stuff. I mean, at the end, we're going to talk about some loot box stuff, and I guarantee you no one else is talking about it. And if they are, don't tell me, because I want to be in the dark about it. All right, moving on. A little bit more PlayStation news. So this is the head of VP of UX design at PlayStation. Excited to see what we've got to show here, as it's UI, so PS5, practical first, but it's a whole new visual language and complete re-architecting of the user interface. So very, very cool. We will see the PS5. Hopefully we'll see the UI. Remember last week we covered the PS5 UI. There's a actual like patent leak, and it looked pretty similar to the PS4. Not very different at all. Kind of these file designs will drop down. Number one, the PS5 is going to be ultra quick, so hopefully we will not see any lag. Of course, on the current PS5 menus, you can see a little bit of lag and hitching and trying to go into your library. I mean, you can see that on the Xbox. Nintendo's pretty good, but once you get into any of the stores for any of these consoles, man, it just sucks, to be honest. So hopefully we'll see some visual design, and then everything will be blazing fast with those SSDs involved. Also, in other news, PlayStation has so many more unannounced games. So PS5, the reveal, it was awesome. I think pretty universally loved from what I saw from people. The one critique could be it was at 1080p, 30 frames per second. Now with these next gen games, a lot of them are going to be 4K and 60 frames per second or even more. So you didn't get to see the whole visual fidelity of a lot of these games, and then sometimes the streams were a little bit hitchy. So if you haven't, go ahead and check out the games. All these games now have trailers in 4K, 60 FPS up, or 30 FPS. So go ahead and check it out if you want to see some better visuals. But as you can see here, just a little quote, and this is just the start. There are so many more games that we have in development. No surprise, of course we're going to see more games in development. Should we see more games revealed later? I'm sure PS5 has kept some cards close to its vest. We still have several months to go before the probable release of these consoles. Xbox is coming in July, so we'll see what they have to offer. You know, they have about 15 first-party studios or so that are going to be showing some things. Of course, Halo Infinite, which we already know is coming for a long time. Hopefully that's a return to form for the Halo franchise. We will see some very, very cool stuff. Of course, they're not going to show everything, and Silent Hills has been rumored. Remember, they showed Resident Evil 8. Silent Hills, I would not think would be in the same display or the same actual thing as Resident Evil. They would compete too much for room in that horror kind of action space. PlayStation VR headset will be compatible with the upcoming PlayStation 5 console. So that is cool. The one thing that I took from this is that the PS4 controller is also going to be coming over to the PS5. Now, maybe that's just to play PS4 games, and I'm sure a lot of the PS5 games are going to say, hey, you need to use the PS5 DualSense controller since it has unique attributes like those actuating triggers. But the PS4 is required, or the PSVR is required to have the PS4 controller with that light bar on the front. So at least you'll be able to use it on the PS5, and hopefully when you do play PS4 games on the PS5, you don't have to use the DualSense controller. I think that's one of the coolest features of the Series X, is that you can just take games from previous generation and controllers from previous generations and just use them on the Series X. Super consumer friendly, but that's with a caveat, is that you're not getting all these new features from the DualSense controller. The DualSense rumbles and the triggers sound awesome. If they're not awesome, then okay, it's all for naught, who cares? But if they are, then all right, well, you know, Xbox didn't get to develop on that end. Also, Ratchet and Clank. Now, Ratchet and Clank, They, of course, have this amazing trailer. Again, you can go ahead and check it out in 4K. Looks phenomenal. This is truly next gen. This thing can only be done on next gen hardware. Why? Because you see them going between these worlds at light speed, like nothing is happening. There's really no real hitching. This is the first time we have seen something that is really only possible in next gen. Of course, it looks beautiful. There's all these things on screen. There's ray tracing. That's great. But what's the difference between previous gen and next gen? Well, it's going to be this. You can instantaneously load levels. It allows developers to do things that just are not possible. It's going to be more about the feel of next gen versus the look. Of course, there's going to be graphical upgrades. It's going to look great. If you look at Ratchet and Clank on the PS4, it looks great. If you look at them side by side between this new one, yeah, you can absolutely see graphical upgrades, but I saw someone on a PS5 subreddit being like, look, there's a clear difference. There's a clear difference, but the PS4 version, obviously in movement, looks fantastic. I mean, yeah, you're going to be able to see reflections, things going to look prettier, but it's not this night and day difference of blockiness versus smoothness. They look amazing regardless. And this is, to me, what next gen is about. And to me, what again, when we're talking about PlayStation and Xbox, is that with Ratchet and Clank, PS5 is going to be, if you want a PS5, do you like the exclusives? Are you interested? And that also means PS4 exclusives, because the main ones are going to be playable on the PS5. With the Series X, are you going to upgrade your PC, the graphics card? Are you going to put in a new SSD or NVMe drive? You're going to take that $500,000, $600,000 to upgrade your PC to hopefully get it comparable to Xbox? Or are you going to spend that $600, $700 for the Series X and just get that for your PC, because it's going to be super powerful and hopefully very, very good, running a lot of PC games. And then of course a lot of the Xbox Series X games are going to be on PC. So are you going to upgrade your PC or get a Series X, or are you going to be in love with the PlayStation 5 exclusives? And of course we have PlayStation 5 Project Athia on the actual PS5 Twitter. So this is confusing me. We have Square Enix, who is notoriously known for announcing games and then not releasing them for like 5 or 6 years, sometimes 10 years, you know, considering Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Project Athia from Square Enix, of course being written by Gary Whitta and a team of writers, is being lauded on PlayStation officially. So are we going to be seeing anything from them soon? I mean, this would like hint that, yeah, this is upcoming. You know, we're pretty pumped about it. Maybe it's just money that Square Enix or PS5 or PlayStation made a deal where, yeah, we're gonna show each other stuff and this is the deal that we made. I don't know. Hopefully it'll be coming. It even says working title. I can't see it coming within a few years. So we will see. All right, this weekend, Summer Games Fest had a whole bunch of stuff happen. Of course, we talked about Star Wars Squadrons, but more importantly, we had the PC Game Show and then the Guerrilla Collective Game Show, which is still ongoing. And yeah, PS5 is still ahead. I mean, the PlayStation 5 reveal event was so well paced. It was an hour jam-packed with games. Kind of had something for everyone. And big thing is it had big AAA games. There weren't crazy amount of surprises because a lot of stuff got leaked. I mean, that's just the nature of all this stuff nowadays. A lot of stuff got leaked. Fortunately, the final console design didn't get leaked. That was a fun surprise to see that. I love the console design, and remember my PS White Vita, like, that's totally my style. It might not be your style. I'm sure they'll release an all black or gray version later on, but it was so well paced. Now we're going to start with the PC Gaming Show. It was like 2.5 hours. It had a lot of in-betweens. The games, I mean, they had anything from really small games to some bigger games, but nothing like crazy or stellar. I went through the whole thing. I mean, they had Persona 4 Golden, of course, that was announced, $19.99. That's great. Torchlight 3, another, like, if you play Diablo, top-down fighting style game. Very tongue-in-cheek humor that will be coming out. It's going to be a beta right now, so go ahead and check that out in open beta. There was just a lot of like big needless banter between. The problem is with the PC Gaming Show is they had developer interviews interspersed throughout, which made it longer. What they should have done, and what PS5 did, or Summer Games Fest with PS5, is they showed all the stuff and then afterwards you could stay if you wanted more in-depth interviews with these developers. So if you weren't too interested in certain games, well, you didn't have to sit and wait there. And there just weren't an insane amount of like really amazing looking games. There's a lot of games that we've seen before. There's some special games, you know, Mafia Definitive Edition looks cool. There's this game called Among Trees I thought looked really interesting. Unexplored 2 and Everspace looks really interesting. But they showed Mortal Shell, which I was really excited for. Mortal Shell, which kind of had this Dark Souls type feeling. They showed gameplay and man, it did not look good. So hopefully that will develop a little bit further. Guerrilla Collective, moving on to that show. Also showed us Baldur's Gate 3, some more information, but really I didn't see any gameplay, and there's been a few days of this where they showed off the same thing multiple different days. They had maybe a little bit more information. Again, these are like 2-3 hour streams with just a lot of like things happening. I mean, it was cool to see a lot of games, but again, hype just wasn't there. It wasn't the same. I mean, they're very drawn out, very long. I'm liking this as kind of in replacement of E3, where you get all these different announcements a little bit longer, but there's no, so far, other than PS5 event, there was no like big style E3 press conference that was this short, tight narrative. With that being said, System Shock looks really cool. West of Dead looks amazing. Jasalt, Steam, and Cinder looks awesome. Jasalt, Steam, and Cinder is a side-scrolling beat-em-up game, very much Castlevania style. Really cool. Alucard, kind of like combat. Looks fantastic. You also have Crusader Kings 3, Iron Harvest, which is an RTS, and 30XX, which is a Mega Man kind of roguelike. Those are really kind of the special games that I pulled out of those. All sound really interesting. Let me know down below if you thought any particular games are interesting, what you thought about the shows. They're fun to watch, but they're very long, and the pacing is just really slow on those. So again, PS5 reveal so far is like the one to beat. Now, with that being said, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, man, the road is theirs. This year is all theirs for the taking. Nintendo has Paper Mario, which has all the makings of a great game. If they release all these Mario remakes this year, they could really, I mean, they're just killing it in sales. As we've seen, the generational leap in graphics is there, but it's pretty minimal. You know, with the nice art style that Nintendo has, they are just going to keep on selling like crazy. So hopefully we're going to see more and more. Hopefully in July we're going to see some amazing stuff coming from Xbox. And then of course we have Ratchet Clank that I talked about before. So we have the Guerrilla games, the PC. So go ahead and check those out. Let me know what you think of them. And then finally, I want to talk about a little thing called loot boxes. So loot boxes have been kind of a stain on the industry. Of course, we talked last week or 2 weeks ago about the UK government banning loot boxes and calling them gambling. They make, you know, they can make a lot of games not very fun. They introduce this grind that isn't fun to a lot of games, and sometimes it has this play to win tactics. So Fortune has this really wonderful write-up, A Kind of Magic, one nerd's quest to shake up the billion-dollar gaming market. This is about a card game called Emergence. It's solely based off this property that is, of course, this kind of superhero-esque property. Go ahead and check it out. It is not only about the game, but it has a really great write-up about going against kind of the drama of what loot boxes are. So you have kind of cryptocurrency rolled into this video gaming. How are we going to figure out this loot box controversy? You know, you get all these things in these digital ecosystems that you just have to kind of keep, and a lot of stuff you don't want. You want to resell it. But then you've had auction houses. You know, it's talked about in I think it was Diablo 3, which they announced and then they had to get rid of because there's all these Chinese and Russia hacking bots that were totally ruining the economy. Magic the Gathering is one of the few games in real life game where the card system, they were able to actually take it. So right here, not long after Magic launched, trouble arose in the form of the market bubble as speculators tore open piles of $3 booster packs in hopes of finding rare cards they could flip for a profit. It was a tulip mania for the geek set. The phenomena boosted sales. So they essentially decided to burst their own bubble and make this economy for Magic where you could only play in certain games if you had this certain set of cards, and then it'll update every time. Sometimes they would get rid of cards or outlaw cards depending on their own game rules. So it kept this game fresh, kept it relevant, and keeps the cards, you know, you can keep them and sell them. There is an actual point to having Magic cards. I have my own issue with Magic cards because it's so expensive just to keep up, but nothing exists like that for digital sales right now. So we'll go on a little bit further, trying to escape the rat race. He encountered, so we're talking about Mauschwitz, who is really well-to-do Magic player. He won many tournaments. He's known for winning with hands that are less powerful than opponents' hands. He has really unconventional strategies. So Mauschwitz, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, he encountered a similar mismatch of forces as a teenager when he immersed himself in Magic, crisscrossing New York City to attend tournaments in search of prize money and prestige, while his parents, both Columbia University professors, earned a comfortable living. Mauschwitz had only a paltry allowance. His relative penury required him to build his deck, the set of 60 or so cards used in Magic game, from others' cast-off cards to develop unorthodox strategies to win. Mauschwitz, in doing away with loot boxes, critics say that these grab bags, which offer the promise of winning special weapons from game enhancements, are akin to lottery tickets. They accuse the gaming industry of manipulating players, especially children, into spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars or playtime hours to obtain digital junk. Controversy over loot boxes have led politicians in the US and Europe to call for banning them. Loot boxes manipulate players by preying on their biological foibles, say Mauschwitz. He points to the practice of Skinner boxing, a science term for putting a rat in a box and then training them to perform an activity in return for pellet or food. That is a real thing, I can guarantee that. A marketplace for gaming goods, which Emergence is baking into the game, seems like an unlikely fix for these problems, but Mauschwitz convinced that such a market will be transformative. When you don't allow trading, you force people to grind. So Mauschwitz also believes the industry's failure to build in-game trading option undermines imagination. When every player has to grind to acquire goods, he says, they will gravitate towards one of few tried and true proven to win deck building strategies described on gaming blogs. That can be very true, because it's very stagnant. You'll see these are kind of the founders, Kathleen Brightman, actually. So the end all be all here is they're using blockchain to essentially keep track of people's cards and make sure there's no duping. And she's actually the founder of a blockchain project called Tezos, something that I do own, so just to be clear here. But video games giant Blizzard introduced an auction house. You know, they talk about Diablo 3. When it comes to Emergence, Mauschwitz envisions sorting players into tiers that will pit with cards of decks of similar value against another. So essentially a strategy for people to gather, so you're not going to be matched up against a player that just can steamroll you, but you actually have a chance and you get to learn the game. Also, if you have unconventional actual cards, you can use it and rank up. Lower than that, she says the game will be designed so players can't use box to grind and amass items for resale. And then, of course, they describe going on to use blockchain. What's beautiful about blockchain is its paradigm shift rather than a new platform. Using blockchain to track and trade in-game assets change the opportunity for what can be sold. And that's very true. Blockchain tracking in-game assets, that's what, Bitcoin, that's why it's so successful. It eliminates the usage of fraud. No Bitcoins can just be created out of thin air like digital assets. It is able to track it very well. So sounds really cool. Let me know what you think, using this new technology. Now, this is Emergence is being built again on Tezos. There are other games. There's Gods Unchained. There's other games that are being built on top of different blockchains. But what do you think of like EA using this method to build games where people can buy and sell digital goods in its own marketplace, or maybe Blizzard, Activision using this in the new Diablo game where you can actually buy and sell and everything's traced and no one can just create bots? Because the whole point is that maybe there's a small little fee or something to play the game. There's going to be a free version, but there's a small little fee every time you want to trade something or every time you want to create something or get something. So to the normal player, whatever will be a few cents a dollar, but someone using farming bots that uses hundreds of thousands of these farming bots on different phones or AWS or something, it's going to cost them money, and sometimes it won't be worth it to actually farm these things. So let me know what you think. Kind of a cool, novel way to stop this from actually occurring. All right, well, thank you so much. That concludes today's Chatty with Matty. Of course, my name is Matty, and this is Sodi Pop on YouTube. Follow me on the 3Ts and IG, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok and Instagram. And then of course, have a wonderful day. Let me know what you thought was amazing down below from this past weekend of the PC gaming show. And then of course we had the Guerrilla Gaming Collective show. Are there any really cool standouts? Did I miss anything? What do you think is the standout so far of this year of the Summer Games Fest? Are you excited for the new Xbox showing coming up in July? Of course, we might be seeing the second Xbox tier, which is their lower tier, rumored to be around $300, a little bit less powerful, but a little bit more entry level, which would be cool. Again, if you're considering upgrading your gaming PC, you know, the normal gaming kind of upgrade will be $250 to $300 for a nice gaming card. If you're going to buy it brand new, you could probably get something way more powerful by just buying this new Xbox. So let me know what you think. Have a wonderful day. Remember,
Be yourself
and eat a cookie. Bye.